I'm Vinnie Politan. The subject of my investigation is the disappearance of Hana Kobayashi, a young woman from Hawaii who was on her way to New York and disappeared in Los Angeles. Here's the story. On November 8th, 2024, 30-year-old Hana Kobayashi took a flight from Maui to Los Angeles. She was supposed to take a connecting flight from LA to JFK in New York. Hana had plans to spend time with an aunt in upstate New York and planned to photograph a show in Brooklyn on November 13th. Hana never made the connecting flight. Over the next couple of days, Hana was spotted in LA and sent a Venmo payment to people that her family didn't recognize. On November 11th, the last day anyone heard from Hana, her mother texted her asking whether she made it to New York. Hana responded no. Then there was one more unusual communication. Text messages to a friend saying she did not feel safe and someone was trying to steal her identity and money. All of this led to a desperate search by her family and the involvement of law enforcement as everyone's trying to figure out the mysterious disappearance of Hana Kobayashi. Some strange circumstances surrounding all of this. But when I first think of the story, I first put myself in the shoes of the family, you know. Yeah, she's 30 years old, but your child is your child, your sister's your sister, and you're going to do anything and everything to find her and make sure that she is okay. So when all this went down, the family was very concerned about all of it, obviously contacting law enforcement, etc. Law enforcement in Los Angeles was on the case. They investigated. And here's Chief Jim McDonnell now speaking about, I guess, what could be considered their conclusion of their part of this investigation. Take a listen.
I wanted to provide you an update on the ongoing search for 30-year-old Hana Kobayashi, who was reported missing last month. As the family is aware, late yesterday, after traveling to the U.S.-Mexico border, we reviewed video surveillance from U.S. Customs and Border Protection, which clearly shows Kobayashi crossing the United States border on foot into Mexico. She was alone with her luggage and appeared unharmed. At this time, Kobayashi's case has been classified as a voluntary missing person.
Voluntary missing person. Those are important words. She wanted to leave. She wanted to, I guess, check out, walk away, however you want to term it. But she's literally walking from the United States, crossing the border, according to the chief, with her luggage and in Mexico. So that brings us to the first question in our investigation, and it is, where did Hana go? Where did she go? From the airport, from there, where is she going? Where is she spotted? Where did she end up? To help me figure out all of this, joining me tonight, host of the Outlier podcast and Pop Crime TV reporter, Lauren Conlon, and retired FBI Special Agent Kenneth Gray is with us as well. Great to have you both here. Lauren, first of all, just the circumstances of all of this, extremely strange because she's starting in Hawaii, supposed to go to New York, but something happens in Los Angeles.
Yes, Vinny, this is incredibly bizarre. I cannot wrap my head around it, but let's just trace Hana's steps for a minute. So she misses her connecting flight. LAPD is telling us this is intentional. The next day, we see her at a very popular mall in Los Angeles called The Grove. She's clearly not hiding. She's at a bookstore. And then that was the same day that she made two very strange Venmo payments. I mean, I'm assuming that law enforcement has tracked down these two people she made the payments to. It's very easy when you have a digital footprint. And then the next day, she's back at the Grove at a Nike store event that she actually posts on her own Instagram. She is not hiding. Another thing that was very, very strange to me is that Hana was on this flight from Maui to LA with her ex-boyfriend. her ex-boyfriend made the connecting flight to New York per a CNN report. Now you see Hannah walking off the plane. I don't know if her boyfriend sat in front of her, behind her, but it's just so bizarre that they wouldn't wait for each other. I mean, even if you weren't necessarily traveling together, but you knew the person, I mean, wouldn't you wait and say, hey, let's go catch our flight together? So many questions, Vinny.
Kenneth Gray, let me ask you about first the conclusion here with the chief saying that she's been classified as a voluntary missing person. Is a video enough? You know, you see a video of someone walking across the border. Is that enough, or do you want to know her state of mind or anything else that may be at play here?
Well, I think here the problem is that there's no allegation of criminal activity here, and so law enforcement is limited in exactly what they can do. If a person decides they want to disappear, they're free to do so. And so absent some type of claim that there is some kind of criminal activity that causes her to disappear, law enforcement is kind of really, their hands are kind of tied in what they can and cannot do. They've done an awful lot. They've found videos showing where she was at. They interviewed a person who was in her presence there. They ended up going to San Diego and found the footage of her going across the border. So law enforcement has done a lot for a case that is not a criminal investigation. But now that she is in Mexico, it's out of their jurisdiction.
All right, let's put a map up so we can sort of track some of the places and travels of Hannah Kobayashi. And it begins November 8th. The flight from Maui lands at LAX, and Hannah does not board the scheduled flight to New York. It was a connecting flight. She's trying to go to New York. She's supposed to go visit with her aunt and being engaged in some photo shoot. November 9th, she's spotted at a bookstore in the Grove Shopping Mall in Hollywood, very popular mall. And then the next day, she's seen at an event at the Nike store in the Grove. So again, a second day in a row where she's at the Grove Shopping Center. Then November 11th, she is seen boarding an LAX Metro C at the Aviation Century Station. This is, you're basically jumping on a train, a subway, to go back to the airport. And then on November 11th, she's retrieving her luggage from LAX. Apparently the luggage, you know, went on the connecting flight, went to New York, and then it came back to LA where she picked it up. And then on November 12th or 13th, she is seen crossing the border into Mexico on foot with the luggage and apparently alone. I'm wondering, Lauren, you know, walking by yourself with your luggage to a foreign country, that by itself just strikes me, and not really communicating that with your family, right? She's not telling her family, I'm going to Mexico on a trip, or I'm going to Mexico, leave me alone. That's not part of what we're hearing.
Well, it's very strange because going to New York, where she was originally supposed to go, was part of her bucket list. She was really looking forward to this. But I want to inform you, Vinny, I did some research about the San Ysidro border, and it's not uncommon for people to walk across on foot. It's very crowded, supposedly very safe. And additionally, this clearly was planned. I mean, she had her passport on her, so I believe that she knew what she was doing. I also want to point out some of the last text messages that Hannah had sent to her family that were very odd. She talked about the fact that she was tricked into giving away all of her funds. I want to know, did police look into her bank account? Did she have any money left? I mean, there's a lot that we could work with here. But again, to what Kenneth said, I mean, if they're done their investigation and they did their diligence and they feel that she's safe, then, you know, maybe they're all set. However, her family doesn't believe it because they haven't seen the footage yet of her crossing the border safely.
So, Kenneth, what responsibility or how does law enforcement deal with the family? Because the family's obviously still concerned, right? She's 30 years old, she's a grown woman, but she's by herself, and she's not acting the way that they know her to act. Like there's something that seems off here. Whatever it is, whether it could be maybe a mental breakdown or something else, influence of someone else. What is the role or responsibility of law enforcement at that point?
Vinny, I have a daughter just a little bit younger than that, and I know that if I were in their position, I would be absolutely beside myself, wanting to know what exactly happened and taking every effort I could to try to track her down. That being said, LAPD did an awful lot on this non-investigation so far, and I think that LAPD feels that absent some type of claim of criminal activity here, where she is a victim, that they have done their due diligence and they're done. I think what the family needs to do is to get over into Mexico or have somebody representing them in Mexico contact the Mexican authorities and have them do the investigation on that side of the border. I think LAPD has done everything they could on their side.
Yeah, and Kenneth, you bring up a great point. You know, how does a father react to this? Well, coming up next, we're going to talk about what happened to Hannah's dad.
To anybody considering doing this, think about the people that you're leaving behind, your loved ones who are going to be worried sick about you.
Weeknights on Court TV.
I'm Vinnie Politan. Welcome to Closing Arguments. We have a big hour ahead here.
Your deplorable actions are unforgivable.
The community still doesn't know how this Boston police officer died.
He can't prove one element of his case.
It was a dramatic day, a dramatic moment inside the courtroom.
What's happening here?
It's unreal. Let me show you exactly what happened.
Closing Arguments with Vinnie Politan. Weeknights at 8, 7 Central. Only on Court TV.
Future.
I'm very sorry to the family for all that they've been through throughout this ordeal. We're very sorry for their loss, and I don't know that words can express, the feelings that they're going through during this very difficult time. But there's a lot of people very much in support of what they're going through. To anybody considering doing this, think about the people that you're leaving behind, your loved ones who are going to be worried sick about you.
That's the LAPD police chief, and talking about the case of the disappearance of Hannah Kobayashi, but he's talking about the impact it has on your family. Like, if that's your child, that's it, all right? I don't care what I need to do, I am going to find my child. And that's exactly what Hannah's father did. Let me read to you what happened. And this is from the AP, Associated Press, November 25th. Hannah's father, Ryan Kobayashi, was among those who flew in from Hawaii to help in the search. He was found dead early Sunday morning in a parking lot near LA International Airport, according to the county medical examiner. Police said officers responded to reports of a body at about 4 a.m. and discovered someone dead. Kobayashi's family confirmed Ryan's death in a Sunday statement, saying they endured a devastating tragedy and that he died by suicide. He was there searching for a couple of weeks, looking for his daughter. And that brings us to our next question in our investigation. What happened to Hannah's dad? How did he go from a father searching for his missing daughter to a man who allegedly took his own life in the city where his daughter had disappeared? Still with us, Lauren Conlon, and joining us, clinical and forensic neuropsychologist and author of the book, The New Rules of Attachment, Dr. Judy Ho. Lauren, first I want to establish some more of what happened here. I mean, he's there to find his daughter, right? And this is over the course of a couple of weeks where he's in Los Angeles, flying in from Hawaii.
Yes, Vinny, this is so tragic and so unexpected. He supposedly and reportedly jumped from a parking structure near the LAX airport, and he was found around 4 a.m. Many people believe that he died of a, quote, broken heart. I personally, I don't know what to think. When I first heard this news and a lot of details hadn't come out about Hannah's disappearance, my brain, it went crazy. And I initially thought, well, did he know something? Did he figure something out? A lot of family members believe that the online bullying towards him, I mean, the internet is a very cruel place. People had said really, really horrible things about him. And I don't know, perhaps it just got to him, but it's really tragic.
Dr. Judy Ho, how can a dad, a father, go from being so desperate to find his daughter, and and at that point, there's no indication that she's gone, that she's still missing and could be found, to him taking his own life?
Well, Vinny, it's usually not just one thing. Of course, this is a very big thing, having your daughter go missing. But like you said, there's a lot of hope alive. There's no sign that she's not alive yet. We don't have any of that kind of information. But the cumulative stress on someone's psyche cannot be undermined. And so we don't know very much about Ryan's life and what was going on at the time and what else he's also contending with. And sometimes when there's stressor upon stressor, there's that one major stressor that just breaks the camel's back and can make someone feel so hopeless that in the moment, it was actually a very impulsive move. So we also don't know if he took his own life in a more planned way where he's been thinking about it for days, or if it was just in that moment, he just felt so hopeless, like nothing was gonna change, and it was an impulsive act. And obviously we all wish he was still here.
Absolutely. Now, I don't know if his daughter Hannah knows that this happened, but if and when she finds out that her father took his own life while searching for her, how could that impact her? And do you think that would bring her back closer to her family or create more distance?
I think that when something this tragic happens to a family, as you mentioned, there's sort of these two ways that the family can either band together or it might drive them apart. And people might actually see Shannon as essentially a villain because they'll blame her for her father taking his own life, perhaps. I really hope that that's not the case. I think that this is when family needs each other most, and you just don't know what's going on in someone's mind. A lot of people suffer with mental health concerns, with major stressors. They never tell anybody. And I also want to say too, Vinny, of course, we don't know the details about this family and their cultural values and ideas, but Asian Pacific or Islander families in general, there is a higher stigma about mental illness, and people don't talk about it, even with family members. And so if there was something like that going on with Ryan, certainly he's not speaking about it, and it would be unfair to blame all of it on Shannon, probably.
Yeah, and I think you mean Hannah, right? Hannah.
Hannah.
Yeah. Let me ask you, Lauren, do we know if Hannah knows, or we don't know if Hannah knows what happened to her father, Ryan?
We are assuming that Hannah doesn't know. Nobody has gotten in contact with her to confirm this. But I also want to point out that Ryan Kobayashi had stated when he was searching for his daughter that the two had not spoken in some time. They weren't close. So perhaps he did have some guilt. One of the statements he made to the media was, "There's a lot of people out there that care about you and love you," end quote. And that to me was a statement really indicating that the two weren't close. I mean, if it's my kid, you're going to say, "I love you. I want you to come home." So this really broke my heart because you could tell he was upset. He was trying, but he possibly had this guilt inside because they weren't that close. And Hannah's family has also said over and over, Hannah has no history of mental illness. She has never had a mental break. I mean, an act of suicide, of course, I'm not a doctor, but that seems like it is a bit of a mental break. And again, to Dr. Judy's point, this could be a cultural thing, something that was never diagnosed within the family. So it's there's a lot going on here, and just, again, a lot that we don't know. And I hate to speculate, but it's the best we can do right now.
So, Dr. Judy, taking a look at this family, right? They're dealing with a lot right now. But looking at the cause of what happened here, is it possible that whatever was going on in the relationship amongst these family members could have led to Hannah leaving, and those same stressors result in Ryan leaving by taking his own life? I think we lost Dr. Judy's audio. I don't hear her.
Can you guys hear me at all?
Now we can. Yes, now we can.
Ah, perfect. Okay. So I was just going to say, Vinnie, that this is obviously, it's so sad, it's tragic, but it's also not necessarily uncommon that sometimes family members don't speak to each other for some time. Families are in conflict.
And it seems Dr. Judy's audio, again, going in and out, and we just lost her once again. Lauren, is Lauren still with us? Lauren's still with us. Okay. Lauren, one quick question. We have only a few seconds here. But as we sit here tonight, do you think the family is coming together at this point? Are they still seemingly unified in trying to find Hannah?
Yes, I believe they're unified. They have a family attorney at this point. They all are seemingly on the side of the fact that they don't believe she's safe. They do believe she is in danger, and they don't agree with law enforcement. So they are unified together on that front, just not with everybody else that's investigating Hannah's case.
Okay. Up next, why did Hannah disappear? I'm Vinnie Politan. We continue our investigation into the mysterious disappearance of Hannah Kobayashi. Investigators believe she went voluntarily missing, but her family still has a lot of questions about what happened. Here's her story. Hannah Kobayashi is a 30-year-old woman from Hawaii. On November 8th, she boarded a flight with plans to go to New York to visit family and for a photo shoot. The first leg of her trip took Hannah to LA, where she was supposed to board a connecting flight to New York. Hannah never got on that flight. Instead, she seemingly vanished. There were some cryptic communications with family and friends and a desperate search by her family, including her dad, who was searching for her in LA for a couple of weeks until he took his own life. Meanwhile, law enforcement was able to track Hannah's movements and now believe she is voluntarily missing somewhere in Mexico. Meanwhile, her heartbroken family still hopes to find Hannah as they deal with the death of her father. It's a difficult situation, right? The father's so heartbroken, apparently, he takes his own life while searching for his missing daughter, and obviously there's deeper issues there as well. But you're not going to stop looking. You're not going to stop looking. I want you to take a look at this, because there's a lot of circumstances surrounding this that just don't sit well with me and don't sit well with the family. Now, according to KABC, Hannah sent this text message, among others, to her mother on Monday, November 11th at 5:29 a.m. Hi, loves. I just finished a very intense spiritual awakening. I'm charging my phone and heading back to the airport to get to New York City. I might need some help getting there. It's a long story. I'll keep you posted. That's November 11th, okay? Heading back to the airport, saying she's going to New York City. Brings us to our next question in this investigation. Why? Why is always an important question, but why did Hannah disappear? What was it? Whether it's voluntarily or involuntarily, why did Hannah disappear? Joining me, host of the Outlier podcast and Pop Crime TV reporter Lauren Conlon, and clinical forensic neuropsychologist and author of the book The New Rules of Attachment, Dr. Judy Ho. Okay, this message in and of itself, I just finished a very intense spiritual awakening. Lauren, do we know any more about what she's talking about here in terms of a spiritual awakening?
We don't, Vinny, but something her family and friends have said that really stuck out to them was that Hannah used a lot of emojis when she was texting. She never texted without an emoji. So immediately their spidey senses went off and they were like, this doesn't sound right. And not even because of the context, but because it was lacking emojis.
Dr. Judy Ho, if someone came to you and said, I just finished a very intense spiritual awakening, how wide open to interpretation is that? The microphone is not working again. Do we know what's going? And let me tell you, let's do this. Hannah's family has spoken out, telling media outlets they were in communication with her up until November 11th. Some of those family members spoke to NBC News, and Ellison Barber posted part of that interview on TikTok. Let's take a look.
It started to get extremely strange and scary. We started getting text message. Basically, the verbiage was unlike her, using words like hun, babe, things that she normally in her own text weren't saying. She said that someone was stealing her identity, that she felt scared, weird things like the Matrix.
One exchange obtained by our Honolulu affiliate KHNL said, quote, I got tricked pretty much into giving away all my funds for someone I thought I loved. It's been really scary.
Okay, Lauren Conlon, let's talk about this. Tricked into giving all of her funds, this sounds like a scam, to someone she thought she loved. What is going on in her? This, to me, this is problematic. If a member of my family sent me this, I'm like, there's something terribly wrong going on here.
So back to my point about law enforcement, have they checked her bank account? This seems like a really simple thing to do here to validate whether or not that happened. And going back to her family still believing that she is in danger right now, her aunt told USA Today that she was spotted with an unidentified man on November 11th, and she believes that someone misled Hannah and someone just betrayed her trust. So could this be the person that Hannah is allegedly speaking about on these texts, or is this the person that's sending the texts?
Yeah, Dr. Judy Ho is joining us. I think we have her by phone now. Dr. Judy Ho, tell me your thoughts about this spiritual awakening, how you could interpret that.
Yeah, well, Vinny, I think that could be a very wide interpretation. It's a possibility that that's a positive thing in context, but at the same time, it just seems so out of sorts with how she usually communicates, like Lauren pointed out. Families' alarm bells immediately went off, and also clearly she's already foreshadowing that she's going to have potentially some problems getting to New York. So that tells you not everything is well. Whatever the spiritual awakening is, it's not resulting in the most positive outcomes if she's going to have problems getting to New York. And I wonder if there was somebody else using the phone, were they trying to maybe even tip off the family and say, yeah, she's still going to New York, just might have some problems, and then she's being directed elsewhere for another reason.
Yeah, and the video, apparently, according to law enforcement, the video of her going to Mexico, crossing that border. This is from CNN. Let's put this up. November 11th, this was the last day anyone was in contact with Kobayashi. She texts her mother telling her she hasn't reached New York. She also sends alarming messages to a friend saying, deep hackers wiped my identity, stole all of my funds, and have had me on the mind bleep since Friday. and they got tricked pretty much into giving away all my funds. What I'm hearing here, Dr. Judy Ho, is this sounds more like some sort of, if you go back, a catfishing scam or something like that that's going on, and she is now realizing this on November 11th.
Right. And there's also another potential interpretation where perhaps there's paranoia. There could be something going on where there's a psychotic process or symptom. It can be temporary. That can happen without somebody having a diagnosis, for example, of schizophrenia. People, when they're under extreme stress, there have been cases, this is not completely rare, where people will have brief psychotic breaks or even as a part of a mood condition that gets really severe. So that's the other interpretation is this something that really happened, or is this something that she thinks happened and there's a conspiracy theory that's going on in her mind at the same time?
And if she's in the midst of one of these breaks, could that lead her to walk across the border, go to a foreign country by herself, in some delusional type state? Right,
exactly. And that may not then be truly a voluntary, missing person case then, because if she's not making decisions in her right mind, and there's a reason, there's a pull that she thinks she might have to escape to Mexico for some reason, right? Which is something that happens oftentimes when somebody is in a delusional state. They think that they have to escape an entity, a group of individuals. Then this could be a completely different matter.
Now, I want to take a look at some more from CNN. Surveillance footage from this day shows Kobayashi at a downtown Los Angeles metro station near Crypto.com arena, accompanied by an unidentified person. Her family saw this and says she does not appear to be in good condition. Now, that individual seen with Kobayashi at the metro station was cooperative in the investigation and was interviewed with his attorney present. LAPD Chief Jim McDonnell said during a news conference on December 2nd, Hannah and the individual met at LAX, McDonnell added. Lauren, all right, she's missing. I understand, police want to talk to you, you get your attorney, but he got an attorney to talk to the police about someone who is voluntarily missing. This thing just, if I'm the family, I'm like this right there on this part of it.
Well, Vinny, come on, I feel like it's fine to get an attorney. I feel like nowadays that's completely the safe thing to do. I'm not mad about that. And at this point, or at that point in the investigation, there was nothing conclusive saying that Hannah was safe. And I'm assuming, I don't know, but this guy probably just met her. So he's thinking in his head, oh my gosh, where is this girl? What if she says something about me? And again, I'm speculating, but I'm really not mad about him getting an attorney. And I lastly want to point out, and I think it's important, Hannah, she did indicate on her social media that she did want to, quote, disconnect, which is another reason why she could have disappeared on her own. We don't know.
All right. Big thanks to Dr. Judy Ho. I'm glad we're able to connect with her, at least by the phone. Still to come, how can her family get her back?
No indication that there would be anything to cause this to happen in this fashion, for her to go off. But like any family situation, who knows what the dynamics are.
Coming soon to Court TV.
It's the biggest story that we're covering.
He is the boogeyman.
Lori Daybell.
She said, I will have you destroyed.
She's got another murder trial coming up.
A social media sensation, now a suspected killer.
We will not stop fighting. We have no quit.
Sean Diddy Combs arrested on a federal indictment.
The high-stakes trials you don't want to miss. Coming soon. Only on Court TV.
To date, the investigation has not uncovered any evidence that Kobayashi is being trafficked or is the victim of foul play. She is also not a suspect in any criminal activity. Additionally, the investigators noted that before departing Maui, Kobayashi expressed the desire to step away from modern connectivity. Our priority is ensuring Ms. Kobayashi's safety and well-being, and we urge Ms. Kobayashi to contact her family, law enforcement, or personnel at the U.S. Embassy to let us know that she is safe.
That's what the family needs. I mean, they absolutely need that, right? I want to go through some more of this story, and Pearl Lachine from Scripps News San Diego put together this report, really, I think, capturing the essence of the case and the family's desire to find Hannah.
An investigation that gained national attention brought Los Angeles police all the way to the San Diego border. On Monday, LAPD revealed that a missing woman from Maui recently walked through the San Ysidro port of entry to leave the country. Her family has been searching for her for about a month.
Your mind goes to abduction, it goes to trafficking, and we're just terrified. We're terrified.
30-year-old Hannah Kobayashi was supposed to fly from Maui to New York to see her aunt on November 8th. She had a connection at LAX, but never got on the plane from Los Angeles to New York. Hannah's family says they received odd texts from her. One message saying she had a spiritual awakening. Other messages saying hackers wiped her identity and stole her funds. The last time anyone heard from her was November 11th.
I don't think anyone knows the feeling of urgency unless you have a family member that has disappeared.
Love you, Hannah. Miss you, and don't be afraid to call. You know, if you can, call, please.
Hannah no longer has her phone, but LAPD found footage of her walking around Los Angeles. Police say her checked bag flew all the way to the East Coast, and Hannah requested that it be sent back to her at LAX. Police have video of her retrieving her bag on November 11th. The next day, police say she took a bus to San Ysidro and crossed the border on foot to Mexico.
She was alone with her luggage and appeared unharmed.
LAPD Chief Jim McDonnell says they still don't know why Hannah did any of this, but they don't believe she's the victim of trafficking or foul play.
To anybody considering doing this, think about the people that you're leaving behind, your loved ones who are going to be worried sick about you, the number of people, including law enforcement and other partners who are going to be looking for you, which then potentially takes them away from other work that is also critically important.
From social media posts, detectives believe Hannah wanted to step away from modern society. They're calling her a voluntary missing person, which means she disappeared on her own free will.
There's a level of desperation that you can really sense from the family, and you saw Ryan Kobayashi, Hannah's father. Since that interview was recorded, he took his own life. So that brings us to our next question in this investigation, and it's about the family. How can her family get her back? Whatever the circumstances are, whatever the reason why she disappeared, how do they get her back? Because that's what they want. Still with us, Lauren Conlin, and also with me, retired FBI Special Agent Kenneth Gray. Kenneth, three potential scenarios here I'm looking at. You know, some sort of mental break that caused all this to happen. Something nefarious where she's been tricked or scammed into leaving the country and going to Mexico, or she just wants to break away. You know, personal choice. Under all those three scenarios, from your perspective, like, how can her family get her back?
So, Vinnie, the communications that she had in the last couple of days before she disappeared into Mexico did not sound like her. So there's a possibility here that someone else was communicating with her phone or with her account, trying to get money from her family, totally unconnected to her disappearance. She may be unaware of those communications going on. She may not have had control of her phone, but she's in Mexico. The place to find her is in Mexico. Somebody has to go to Mexico and look for her. Either the family or the family needs to hire somebody to cross the border and go look for her.
Let me ask you, Kenneth, on that point, how difficult or dangerous is that? And how do you get any level of cooperation, perhaps from law enforcement in Mexico?
Well, that's exactly it. Is that the drug cartels are ruling the northwest part of Mexico, and that it's very difficult, very dangerous to go in there and start asking questions like that. And so what they really need to do is to be in contact with their senators, with their congressmen, and see if they can't get the U.S. government to make contact with the national police there to try to carry out some leads for them. But if they want to hire somebody to do it, someone like a Dwayne Chapman, who went into Mexico to try to get people out, he ended up being having an arrest warrant put out for him, and he was not able to. He escaped from Mexico. He jumped bail and left Mexico when that happened with him, and so it's not an easy, straightforward thing about having somebody going over there and do investigations in another country.
So, Lauren, at this point, where do we see the family? Do we know if they're making any moves along those routes? Have they indicated that? Have they been reaching out on social media? How are they moving from this point forward as they grieve the loss of Ryan?
Yes, I saw a report today that the family and their family attorney is sending their team, which is a team of investigators, to Mexico to search. And additionally, there is a large presence of the FBI and U.S. Marshals in Mexico for the reasons that Kenneth just described. So I do feel like it won't be too long, hopefully, before they can track Hannah down and confirm that she is safe. But again, let's just remember, she has broken no laws, and she doesn't exactly have to return to the U.S. if she doesn't want to.
Now, the other part of this, Kenneth, is how does a 30-year-old woman by herself stroll into Mexico and, according to her own communications, if they are her communications, have her bank account wiped out? You know, you don't necessarily have money to sustain yourself. You don't have a place to stay. How do you navigate that, and how dangerous is that for her?
Yeah, if you don't have money and you're going into another country like that, it will be very difficult for her to get around and to be able to find a place to stay and to survive. She's in a different country, one she's not familiar with. But again, I don't think those last communications were from her. I think those were communications attempting to set up the family to provide more money. Somebody wanted to get them to see the fact that she didn't have any funds and that she needed money to get to New York and that she was going to require assistance for that. That it does not correspond to her actions. She's wandering around going into Mexico with her luggage without any care in the world, it seems.
Yeah. Lauren, we only have a few seconds here, but how would you describe social media reaction to the story at this point?
Oh my gosh, Vinny, you know as well as I do, social media is going crazy. There are so many theories, so many bizarre cyber sleuth rumors, and I have a love-hate relationship with social media, but I will say it does do wonders when it comes to locating missing people. So I am hoping that social media pulls through here and somebody in Mexico will have seen Hannah's photo somewhere on
keep the story alive and keep her image out there. Absolutely. We're out of time. Lauren Conlin, Kenneth Gray, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. You know, people are allowed to disappear, but when it's your own child or own sister, you will obviously be concerned. In this case, some of the facts seem very odd, and understandably, the family wants answers. But at this point, it's no longer really a law enforcement priority. So hopefully she'll come home. We'll keep digging for the answers.